Hi, I'm Scott Davis. Welcome to New World Birth. By accessing this presentation, you're inviting me to share this information regarding our passage through this challenging and yet very hopeful time. This is the care and feeding of a New World Age report for the Gregorian date of April 2nd, 2012, which is also One Earth in the Mayan Tzolkin calendar. And we'll discuss the Libra full moon, both Mercury and Mars turning direct, Pluto turning retrograde, and Venus moving into Gemini. April 2nd is One Earth, which carries the themes of natural rhythms, synchronizing the heart with Mother Earth, inspiration, the powers of creation, earthquakes, ancient wisdom, and the flowing with the natural order. The Maya believed that the same energy that is the soul of the heart also resides in the earth. The day symbol for the earth also represents the interconnectedness of our emotions with the earth's emotions. And Ian Lungold wrote that sometimes the Earth's delicate sensitivities are upset, resulting in quakes of emotions and even the display of a volcanic temper. And I was reading recently that neurophysicists have discovered that our hearts radiate the body's strongest electromagnetic frequency in a torus field. These fields are holographic, and it arcs out of the heart and then returns to the axis of the heart. And this field extends from the pelvic floor to the crown of the head. The Earth is also the center of a holographic electromagnetic torus field, as is the solar system and the galaxy. And it's interesting to note that because of their holographic nature, there is the belief that there is really only one universal torus field, which means our hearts are connected to the Earth, the solar system, the galaxy, and ultimately the universe. It's fractal, so we don't have a part, but the whole is represented in each of us. And I've uploaded pictures of this on the New World Birth Facebook page. Basically, these 13 days are best used to change our patterns to be more heart-centered and in balance with Mother Earth. Astrologically, the One Earth Tzolkin, or 13-day period, begins with Mercury, Mars, and Saturn retrograde, and Pluto at a standstill as it prepares to move back in reverse motion. When a planet is at a standstill, it's said to be at the peak of its power, and with three planets slowing down to change direction, there's a great deal of focus on communication and thought in Mercury, assertiveness and energy of Mars, and with Pluto we experience death and rebirth that leads to transformation and empowerment. And I've discussed Mercury and Mars recently, so I thought I'd look at Pluto in this report. Pluto reached 9 degrees of Capricorn on February 24th, 2012, where it's been sitting still or stationed. It officially turns retrograde on April 10th. And Pluto, but these outer planets, they move very, very slowly. So Pluto will really continue to focus its power on 9 degrees Capricorn until May 31st. And this can be a very uncomfortable time for anyone who has planets at 9 degrees Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, or Libra. And to understand how you'll be affected, look at the planet that's being activated by the transit to understand Pluto's influence. Pluto is about empowerment that comes through an experience of death and rebirth. It's not likely to be a literal death, but it could be an experience of a dark night of the soul, which brings a death to some aspect of our life that is an obstacle to becoming a more empowered and authentic person. April 2nd is One Earth, which is unity experienced through the gratitude for Mother Earth, with the Leo moon supported by the sun, challenged by Jupiter. This brings pleasant energy, feelings of generosity, and the contemplation of spiritual aspects of life. The third is Two Flint, which is about duality through reflection and introspection, with Venus moving into Gemini, and this creates a mutable T-square with Mars in Virgo and Neptune and Chiron in Pisces. And this will be in effect from April 3rd to April 12th. This can be a difficult time for relationships between men and women, as Venus is being challenged by Mars, and with the wounded healer and the planet of confusion in the mix, there could be arguments that no one wins and somebody gets hurt. We also have the moon being stimulated by Saturn, challenged by Venus, opposed by Neptune, and merging with Mars. So there's emotional influences of the day that go from wanting to be alone in your thoughts and feelings to later enjoying social interactions, feeling sensitive and confused, and finally feeling just downright irritable. April 4th is 3 Storm, which is about taking action and recognizing the gifts of adversity. With Mercury turning direct, it's going to take some time for Mercury to gain momentum as it starts moving forward, but we can expect that communications will increase over the next few days following April 4th. And also on the 4th, we have the Virgo moon is being supported by Pluto and Jupiter, so emotions are intensified and very deep, with well-being increasing as the day goes on. The 5th is 4 Sun, which is stability found through honoring our ancestral wisdom, with Venus being challenged by Neptune, which brings unrealistic expectations for our romantic relationships. And then the moon is feeling tension from Mercury and Uranus and support from Venus. And so emotions will range from conflicts between feelings and reason to later wanting to enjoy friends, food, and drink, and then having impulsive feelings which may lead to jumping to unwarranted conclusions and disruptive interactions in our emotional relationships. April 6th is 5 Crocodile, and this is about empowerment through nurturing new beginnings. On the Libra full moon being challenged by Pluto and opposed by the Sun, this can bring compulsive behavior when people are out howling at the moon. The 7th is 6 Wind, which is about being in the flow through communication, with Venus being challenged by Mars, which may stimulate sexual energy or cause difficulties as hidden tensions in the relationship arise. And the moon is merging with Saturn, supported by Neptune and stimulated by Mars. So the day starts with sort of lonely and isolated feelings, and later kind of brings in more fantasies and daydreams, and finally brings in confidence in communicating our emotions. April 8th is 7 Night, which is reflection on the stars, with the Scorpio moon being stimulated by Pluto and opposed by Jupiter, which arouses deep feelings and a drive for personal freedom. On the 9th, we have 10 Seed, which is about balance through planting seeds and making new connections, with Venus being stimulated by Uranus, which wants excitement in our social relationships and may inspire some to have a fling. And the moon is also supported by Mercury and Uranus, challenged by Neptune and Mars, and opposed by Venus. So emotionally, the day shifts from being in touch with your feelings to daydreaming to feeling irritable, and finally craving some emotional excitement and the desire to overindulge. And then we have April 10th, which is 9 Serpent, which is patience through being flexible, with Pluto turning retrograde at this point. And it's going to be retrograde in Capricorn all the way until the middle of September, where it will reach back to the point that it was at on December 21st, 2011. And so between now and September, we may see people reviewing and reflecting on experiences they have had since the Winter Solstice of 2011 that were disempowering, so that they can be released through a death and rebirth process. Also, watch for the shadow side of things ruled by Capricorn to come up for review during the next 5 months. I suspect that there will be secrets revealed regarding big businesses and governments, as they are in Capricorn's domain. So this retrograde will take us to the first very challenging square to Uranus on June 26th, which will bring a rapid decay of everything that does not have a solid foundation, from relationships to governments. So stay tuned for more on that later in these reports. The 10th also has the Sagittarius moon receiving support from the sun, which helps people flow with less resistance and a sense of harmony. The 11th is 10 Transformation, which is about manifestation through releasing what no longer serves, with the moon being challenged by Mercury and Uranus in harmony with Saturn and Neptune and supported by Mars. It brings a day of shifting emotions beginning with a desire to have a serious conversation about our feelings, to being sensitive to others' moods, to asserting yourself in a positive manner, to finally being impulsive and having some rebellious feelings. April 12th is 11 Deer, which is resolution through being of service to others, with the Capricorn moon merged with Pluto and supported by Jupiter. The day starts with intense emotional experiences as deep feelings come to the surface, and then later brings in more of a pleasant sense of well-being with Jupiter. The 13th is 12 star. This is about understanding through being grateful for abundant relationships. Mars turns direct as it builds momentum over the next week. So here we have Mars moving forward as well. And so while it's building momentum over the next week, we start to feel a return to more of that fiery physical energy that we've been lacking ever since it went retrograde back in January. The day also brings the last quarter moon, which is being challenged by the sun and Saturn, and in harmony with Mercury, which can be a difficult day of feeling out of touch with others, but later it stimulates social interactions and communication. April 14th is 13 offering, which is movement to the next stage through appreciating creation, with the Aquarius moon harmonizing with Uranus and supported by Venus. The day starts with restless feelings, but later brings in the enjoyment of social interactions with friends. Okay, for this next section, let me start by saying that I was asked by a couple of folks about my opinion of Carl Calleman's most recent article entitled "The Focus on the Sun," shifting the frame of consciousness of humanity on the Venus transit on June 6th and the Winter Solstice on December 21st of 2012, which I received as a press release on March 18th. First, I'd like to say I've been a great supporter of Carl's work and originally created these offerings to discuss Carl's interpretation of the Mayan tune calendar, along with my views of the Mayan Tzolkin calendar and astrology. And I've read all three of his books related to the Mayan calendar, and I've listened to many of his presentations over the years. I was first made aware of Dr. Calleman's work when I watched a video by Ian Lungold, which covered the model in detail. And Dr. Calleman is a scientist and has long made the case that his explanation of the Mayan calendar is based on research and the use of scientific methods, which continues to seem to be his perspective in this most recent article. Unfortunately, that's not entirely true. When he modified his hypothesis after October 28, 2011, when the calendar was of his research was to reach completion, Carl made the determination that instead of ending, the tune calendar shifted to the waves of the tune calendar shifted into their night modes. This statement came without any data to support it, other than his report that because he and others that he has consulted were not experiencing time is moving from moment by moment by moment, that the tune calendar is continuing, and all 9 levels entered into the never before discussed 7th night cycle on October 29th, 2011. And he's certainly entitled to his opinion. But we need to recognize that's all it is. It's his opinion. Where I really struggled with the article was his remarks that other people's statements about the upcoming Venus transit and winter solstice will bring a shift in consciousness, and this is a quote, are made without any foundation whatsoever except the dreams of those who pronounce them. And what I'm wondering is, what really is the difference between that and his concept of the tune calendar continuing based on his and a few others' feelings? This led me to look at Carl Calleman's work in a little closer, which is based on the stele in Kobah that has periods of time carved into it, and his belief that the Mayan calendar should end on the Tzolkin date of 13 Ahau. And if you look in his book of um, in his book, The Mayan Calendar and Transformation of Consciousness, on page 89, you'll see the stele that we're referring to. What it was interesting to me is that that he left out the name of one of the glyphs in the diagram. And here I've blown this up, and the glyph in the diagram that was left out is right here, and it's for Ahau, which happens to be the day of the winter solstice, which in my opinion would lend some legitimacy to the belief that there will be a shift in consciousness on December 21st, 2012. I would certainly agree with Carl that the vibrations increased around the time that his model for the Tune calendar moved into its ninth wave universal cycle on March 9th, 2011. But also astrologers were predicting a similar shift in energy with Uranus moving into Aries on March 12th, 2011. So perhaps it was coincidence that the shift occurred in the time frame predicted by Dr. Calleman's model of the Tune calendar. It would certainly explain why he needed to create a seventh night cycle, because he and the folks he consulted did not experience the calendar completing, because after all, we still have Uranus in Aries. And it's interesting to note that Barbara Hand Clow, who wrote her own book based on Calleman's work, has not supported Carl's updated model of the Tune calendar continuing after October 28th, 2011. I also uploaded a picture of the stele on the New World Birth Facebook page, so you can see it there and look at it in detail. To me, it's interesting that the Mayan elders are saying that they don't know when the shift is going to occur, and which makes sense to me because the glyph on the Kobas stele of 4 Ahau, that Tzolkin date occurs every 260 days. And this being the One Earth Tzolkin, I feel I need to weigh in one more opinion. And these are all opinions. They're just my opinions. But it's interesting to me that the last paragraph of the article, Carl discussed using the sun during the Venus transit and the winter solstice as a point to focus, a point of focus to shift from being citizens of nations to becoming children of the sun. Well, early in the article, Carl is talking about unity consciousness and activating the background feminine energies, yet he ends the article with talking about the sun. Throughout history, the sun has been seen as masculine and the moon and earth as feminine. So I don't believe that we are children of the sun, as Carl states. I believe we are children of the earth. Unity consciousness is on this planet. It's not out there somewhere, which by definition would be duality. And indigenous and traditional people connect with Mother Earth, Gaia. Anyway, the Mayan calendar has certainly inspired people to contemplate a shift in consciousness and has planted that seed on a global scale. And I think that is a wonderful gift in and of itself, even if it doesn't pinpoint a specific date when all humanity awakens. But that's just my opinion. No matter what your opinion is during this One Earth Tzolkin, take some time out to be in the flow of the planet by being in nature and watching the sunrise or a sunset, communing with the stars, being conscious of the moment through introspection, meditation, or being with somebody you love. Every single day we have is a blessing, no matter what dramas beckon to distract us. We're all here giving the performance of our lifetime on this world stage. So just take some time out to observe the play as well as act your part. Because remember, you are a spiritual being having a human experience. As always, thank you for checking out New World Birth. The next segment of Care and Feeding of a New World Age will be on April 15th for one dog, and we'll also discuss the Taurus new moon, Mercury moving back into Aries, and the sun moving into Taurus. You can check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and the Mayan Magic's website. I invite you to email me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com, which is right on the top of this poster. If you have any questions or wish to schedule a reading, I've decided not to change my reading offer until Mercury turns direct, so you can still get a reading where you pay only what you can afford based on the value you get out of the experience. And the reading I'm currently offering will look at your human design chart, so to help you understand how to use your individual strategy and authority in making life decisions based on your own unique design. I will also discuss the next 3 months of astrological transits and how they relate to your natal and progressed astrology charts. So if you've been thinking about taking me up on the special limited time offer, please contact me. I would love to provide you with a reading during these uncertain times. You need to be able to either call me in Maine in the United States or connect with me over Skype, which works great if you're international. As my gift to you, I will email you a 20 to 30 page report giving you 3 months of detailed planetary transits as they relate to your birth chart for all paid readings. As always, I am blessed that you've taken the time out to connect with my passion for all these ancient mysteries and their application in our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste and Lakesh. Thank you.